Hey parents, we're just getting off of fall camp and now we're getting back into the Song of Solomon series on Wednesday nights. So this week we are going to be on session 4, the art of courtship, moving into marriage. So Tommy Nelson this week, just to give you guys as parents a heads up, starts to talk a little bit more about the sexuality, the sexual passions between a man and a woman in a relationship. So he's really addressing it as, you know what, this is when you're far into a relationship. You're getting a little bit more serious now, and he addresses the sexuality and those desires for each other as good things. You know, God created sexuality. He created it to be a good thing that's glorifying to Him. It's to be enjoyable. And here I am talking about it as a single guy, but that's so good that he addresses that, because right now in the church it can be a very taboo thing. We don't talk a lot about relationships. We don't talk a lot about dating. We don't talk a lot about sexuality. If anything, we talk a lot about marriage. But how do these students get to that point? So in the message, he is in the passage of the second chapter of Song of Solomon. I think verses 8 to 18. I can't remember off the top of my head. But in that passage, he talks about the hills of Bether. He explains to students in a way that he's understanding. It's a little awkward. He says, look, if you go and look those up on a map, you're not going to find them. The hills of Bether are representative of the woman's breasts and how she desires her man. And he explains, okay, what are some real practical ways you can respond to these desires? Just in action steps. You know, don't do this. This is something. These are some safe boundaries you can set up, and you guys can check those videos out on Right Now Media. It's good for you to do that, so you know exactly what he's talking about. But a couple of reasons we would really like to have your students still come and be involved, even though there is a little bit more of a sexual content. That the Hills of Bether, that's probably the most explicit that he really gets into in this week. But we'd love to have your students come, because right now culture is definitely leading the way in the conversation about sexuality, relationships, dating, even marriage. You know, we want to be addressing these things as well. So at Village with the student ministry, we want to join that conversation, knowing that the conversation is already happening, just not within our walls. And we want to join it, and we want to add another voice that these students can listen to, so that they don't just have to go off what the media says. They don't just have to go off what their friends are saying, but they can know exactly what it is that God is saying about relationships. So we want to be involved in this conversation. You know, I hear the conversations that are going on with middle schoolers, especially, and I know the ones that are going on with high school. Those conversations are happening. I hear the jokes that they make, the topics that they talk about, the things I've had kids ask me about, stuff that they look at online, in the public schools. I know these conversations are happening, but right now they're not happening in the church, and that's concerning. We really want them to be happening here. We want this to be a place at Village that your students can come and they can talk about this stuff. They can ask the questions. We want them to understand how God has created man and woman to relate to each other. And really, we don't want this conversation just to happen in the church. We don't want them to just come and talk about it at youth group, just talk about it with their leaders. We want these conversations to start at home with you as parents. So we make these videos. We're sharing this content with you on Right Now Media, so that you know exactly what it is that we're talking about, and you know how do I need to approach this conversation with my child. You know your children better than anybody, but it's important to be having these conversations, and we want to come alongside of you as parents, and shepherd your children. And part of doing that is just being a support for you guys. This has to be a team effort. We don't want to go behind your backs. But we want to work together. So if you have any questions, please let me or Mario know. But we would really love to have your kids come. If you really don't think that they should be here, that's your decision. We're not going to say they have to be. But I do think it'd be very good for them to come and be a part of that, and hear this part of the conversation that maybe they're not getting anywhere else. So that's it for now. Sorry this video is a little bit longer than normal. Just wanted to give you guys exactly what's going on, so you know what to expect for this coming Wednesday. We will see all of you guys later, and hopefully see all your students Wednesday night. Thank you. Bye.